When I found it, boys I have liked. I took out only a few cards and began to read the names listed on each one. But as I continued reading, I began to recognize each name. Right then and there I knew exactly where I was and exactly who these files were about. This lifeless white room with its never-ending files was a crude catalog system of my life. Here was written the actions of my every moment, big and small, in a detail my memory couldn't match. I looked on in horror, wonder, and curiosity as I began randomly opening files and exploring their content. Some brought joy and sweet memories. Others, a sense of shame and regret so intense, I would look over to my shoulder to make sure no one was watching. A file named Friends was next to one marked Friends I Have Betrayed. The titles ranged from the daily tasks to the outright weird. Books I have read, lies I have told, comfort I have given, and jokes I've laughed at. Some were almost hilarious in their exactness, things I've yelled at my brothers. Some I couldn't laugh at, things I've done when I thought no one was watching. Each was written in my own handwriting, each signed with my signature. Once I realized this, only one thought dominated my mind. No one must ever see these cards. I have to destroy them. In insane frenzy, I yanked the file out. I had to empty it and burn everything inside. I pulled out a card only to find it as strong as steel when I tried to tear it. I tried again and again, picking up card after card with the same result every time. Defeated and utterly helpless, I returned the file to its slot. Leaning my forehead against the wall, I closed my eyes, and I let out a long, self-pitying sigh. When I opened my eyes, I wanted to cry. My heart sank when I realized the cabinet I was resting against read, "People I have shared the gospel with." It was different from all the other files. The handle was brighter than the others, newer, almost unused. I pulled it open and 4 small cards fell into my hands. Only 4, I thought to myself. In all my life, I've only told 4 people about God's love. And that's when the tears came. Slow at first, but then I began to weep. My sobs were so deep that they hurt. They started in my stomach and shook all through me. I fell on my knees and cried. I cried out of shame from the overwhelming humiliation of it all. But then I heard them. The footsteps. I raised my head, ready to stop whoever it was from reading the files. That's when I saw. It was him. No, please, I thought, not him, not here. Anyone, please, anyone but Jesus. I watched him helplessly as he began to open the files and read the cards. I ran to him, pleading with him not to read the cards. He smiled softly but walked from me. I watched helplessly as he read, and I saw a sorrow on his face that was deeper than my own. Finally, he turned and looked at me from across the room. He looked at me with pity in his eyes. I dropped to my knees and covered my face with my hands. "Please," I whispered, "God, please, forgive me." Then, starting at one end of the room, he took out a file, and one by one began to sign his name over mine on each card. "No!" I shouted, rushing to him. All I could find to say was, "No! No!" His name shouldn't be on these cards, but there it was, written in red so rich, so dark, so alive. The name of Jesus covered mine. It was written with his blood. Then he reached his hands over the wall. Each of the files opened, and I saw that they too were covered by his name. Then they shut, each sin now covered by his grace. I looked up at him in awe, with tears covering my face as he walked to me. He hugged me then, and spoke the words I will never forget.
"It is finished."
After a moment, he smiled down at me and led me out of the room. I noticed, though, that there was no lock on the door. There were still cards to be written. And before we left, I took one last look at the wall of cabinets. I prayed the next time I entered the room, I would make him proud to call me his child.